Professional. Seamless, that was.
I know. It's not even like... No one will ever hear it, but it took 11 seconds to count down from 3.
3 to 2. It was like a very good Darren Brown trick, which, if you've seen Darren Brown's most recent show, you'll understand that reference, because fuck me, what a show it was. But, yes, here we are. Co-Pilots Podcast. What do? This is... we compare 2 TV shows that share a similar theme, and my internet just dropped out briefly, but I carried on speaking because I'm a professional, and you won't even notice that, because in the edit you'll stitch it all together.
I won't have to, because you kept talking and I stopped talking.
Exactly.
I mean, I wasn't.
Right.
I never started talking. That's what I meant. I didn't stop talking.
So this is... The link this week is, I guess, Shooty Big Flag Shaggers that's based on novels. Correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I think.
Cool.
I think the real link is. Yeah, American Army people.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't know. I think you said flag shaggers instead of
Yep.
army people.
Well, let's call a spade a spade.
I'm not sure of the origins of that term, but I think it's probably racist.
Is it? Hang on. Is flag shagger...
No, I meant call a spade a spade.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. I'm assuming it is. We'll just Google this live, but I won't edit them out.
Hang on a minute. There's an article here from News Thump. Calling someone a flag shagger is as bad as racism. Insist racist flag shaggers. Hypersensitive curtain twitchers whose crippling insecurity propels them to find self-worth in symbols and hatred of anyone different have spent the past 48 hours claiming that being the butt of somewhat puerile jokes is the same as being the victim of lifelong discrimination. This is brilliant.
Oh yeah, and the spade thing could be depending on who you're talking to.
Oh, okay. Well, in celebration of Priti Patel resigning, I apologise for the racism.
Did she resign, or was she just not rehired?
I got to be honest, I don't care. She's gone, and that's a fucking good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, we haven't met her replacement properly yet, so we'll see
Nope.
what horrible things they do.
Yeah. Oh, this winter's going to be fun, isn't it? Right.
Yeah. Speaking of horrible things, terminal lists. I didn't mean this. I actually just meant how it starts, but
Yeah. Okay, so
Also-
terminal list. Shall I do a little spiel on terminal list?
yeah, go for it.
Okay. So terminal list is Chris Pratt is a Navy SEAL whose entire team is wiped out in an incident in which they were given they seemingly were given bad intel onto how an operation was going to work out. However, once he gets back and questions start being asked about exactly what happened in there, we start to think maybe he's not quite a reliable narrator, and he starts questioning, is his mind working okay? Does he remember things correctly? And all that sorts of things.
On that point
So-
of unreliable narrator, I was really hoping that's the way they were going.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I don't think
though,
it is either.
because
I think it is alarmingly straightforward.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, there is a point, and I think we'll probably come to this, but there is a point where a character appeared on screen, and I out loud went, "Oh, it was them." And I bet you did the same thing, and I bet we have the same character.
Possibly.
Okay, so for the first sort of 20 minutes of this, I didn't realise that it was Chris Pratt. I thought it was like a Poundland Chris Pratt.
Oh
Chris
right,
Pratt.
no, it's the real Chris Pratt, Star-Lord himself.
I had to Google it because I was like, this guy looks so like Chris Pratt, but also so not like Chris Pratt that it's like I feel like they've got a Poundland Chris Pratt.
Also, is it weird that seeing him clean shaven makes me feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, that was quite a nice little nod. I thought when they says, oh, he's being questioned by one of his superiors, and he says, oh, get rid of that 5 o'clock shadow. I was like, okay, that's quite a nice little way of just showing like normally he'd be on top of that sort of thing, but because his concept of how much time has passed since he got back from the fighting, I thought that was quite a nice little sort of indicator as to actually he has been back longer than he thought he had.
So in that same interview, there was a moment that I rewound it. I say rewound. I clicked slightly back on the digital stream that I had.
Oh, that's disgusting. Please, can we call it rewound? Let's keep the magic of VHS alive.
Yeah, it was really magical the times that a VHS player chewed up a video.
Do you know, that only happened to me. I'm not going to finish that story, actually. I'll tell you that when we're not recording.
Oh, you did something weird with a VHS.
No, it's not that. It's just the... Yeah, anyway, carry on.
Oh, the video's embarrassing. I see. So I had to rewind it a little bit because I thought I'd seen something that set my unreliable narrator triggers. Mm-hmm. But it turned out I was just overanalyzing it because I wanted the show to be interesting.
Yeah, I did find myself doing that a lot with this.
The camera, like his little camera that's recording him, there's a little like fragmentation on it. And yes. I thought, because I hadn't been paying attention to the timer that's underneath, I thought it had done this little fragmentation and the timer had jumped.
And there's a little edit.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, if the show's doing stuff like that, I'm in. And then I rewound it, rewatched it, went, oh, they're not. Because I just watched the timer and went, oh, it just is perfectly linear. It's not. He's not losing time. But yeah, I think it's a...
One thing that I think we can say right from the off is it does not need to be an hour and 5 minutes long. Like,
no, I
quite happily could have had a 45-minute episode out of this.
I think it would have been more intriguing had you not seen...
Oh, had you not been there to see what had happened the first time round?
No, I think so. I mean, I'm sort of jumping quite a long way ahead to like the hospital at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be more interesting if you didn't see... almost that it cut when he's in the MRI machine, and that's the end of episode 1. That I think it would be more... I'd be more interested in watching more of it if they... So I think it would just be more interesting if they, rather than showing that, to sort of almost round out the hour-long episode and being like, oh, his concepts of memory and time are all a bit fucked and now his family's dead. To just cut off at him finding out maybe his memories are a bit fucked and then just being like, cool, that's our pilot, you are done.
I mean, I don't know. I quite like the big beat of ending on, oh yeah, his wife and kid are dead. Like, I didn't really... That's the trouble, though, is I didn't really care about them.
Yeah, I think the trouble with that, for me, is that you see him... I think one of either the hospital fight or the family dying in episode 1 has to go. In my opinion, I think the hospital fight shows that he's not wrong. Which I think is what ruined the episode, ruined it for me, is that it didn't...
There was no question as to whether or not he's the one that's actually got this wrong.
Yeah, because I wanted it to be like a Hercules thing, where... Or it to play on that sort of Hercules thing where he's gone a bit nuts and killed his family.
Yeah.
That was the story I want.
Yeah, because there was some confusion as to how he ends up with his own gun again. And then obviously I think having not watched it, what I imagine is now going to happen is, okay, now he's going to be framed for the deaths of his family, but really the more interesting
he's 100%, he's going to be on the run.
Yeah, but the more interesting story is, what if he did actually do that? What if it was him, and what if it wasn't?
Yeah,
these sort of
that's the thing. I think it would be more interesting, almost, if you either just didn't... Well, if he didn't remember the fight in the hospital, but is still somehow left there with his own gun. But like the logic behind that wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
And then the issue is what's my biggest thing that I don't like in TV that we talk about quite a lot?
Memory stuff, mostly.
Amnesia.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, it's... I think if used right, it makes sense. And I think if you're playing him up as an unreliable narrator, you can put some gaps in his memories, and then you can sort of backfill them, because it seems like that's sort of what you're gonna get throughout the show, is a little bit of backfilling, I guess, as his brain heals. Although we'll never know, because the MRI was sort of rudely interrupted by a couple of guys in masks.
By a couple of guys who are up to no good.
Started making a lot of trouble in his neighbourhood because his family are dead now.
I got in one little fight and now my wife is dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would love to be surprised by this show and it turn out to be something completely different, but I doubt it. I can't see anywhere where this is anything more than just almost a straight revenge.
Yeah, straightforward military man goes after the people who killed his and that's the issue with, like, I think the issue that probably both of us have with these kinds of stories is, I get the feeling that military stuff really bounces off us quite quick.
Yeah,
and
I would agree with that, I think.
Particularly if you're not going to be doing anything interesting psychologically with it, because I mean, well, saying that, like, one of my favourite films is Apocalypse Now, and there is no denying that there is, it's a military film, like it's set during a war, but actually I don't think it's about, seeing the soldiers with the guns and the helicopters and all that sort of thing. I think it's more about
the downtime.
Well, how people work,
and
like the workings of their brain, like the fact that Kurtz has gone off and become this leader in the jungle, and it's almost as soon as Willard gets to meet Kurtz, it's like you don't really see any more sort of army paraphernalia or sort of you don't see any machinery or any of the other stuff that's led up to it. It then just becomes about two people in a room discussing ideas, and I just don't think you're going to get that sort of level of sophistication from the Terminal List. And partly I base that on Chris Pratt being in it, which is, maybe that's wrong, but I just don't think that would be the sort of thing he'd be up for. I get the feeling he's very much one of these, I mean, I'm not sure he's an entirely good guy, but I can really see him doing just straightforward military, like we say, straight revenge. He's going after the people who killed his family because that's the worst thing you can do against America. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Against the American dream.
I know, I think you're being harsh on Chris Pratt. He gave a very nuanced performance in Jurassic World. I mean, I just, Oscar worthy. It should have been an Oscar, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dumb action hero. Like, no offense to him, but that's weirdly what he's ended up being typecast as, rather than the funny fat guy from Community. No, Parks and Rec. He was Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
Community's...
Parks and Rec was him. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think. But I have a real. I don't know what it is, but someone playing someone who's like just super determined within the military. It really, really. They have to do so much work for me rather than just. Yeah, I don't know. I really struggle with just the stories about military people, just because it's like I don't really fully understand why, but just straight up soldiers being soldiers stuff, it really, really does bounce off me.
Yeah, I think I've tried to work that out as well, because obviously, I mean, just through because these are all based on books, and they're books that people think I should find interesting, but no. not enough magic and elves for me. But
it's, do you know what I think? I think I've worked it out. It's the absolute confidence that these people are doing these things for the right reason, and they're doing this because America. or they're doing this for a country. And I don't think I necessarily really like. I had a conversation with my dad once because he was in the army, and I was like, I don't think I could have been a soldier because they say they want people who you say jump, they say how high. The first thing I do, someone says jump, I just go, well, why?
Careful, I'll break the floor.
Yeah, and my dad said, he was like, well, yeah, you wouldn't have survived because they don't want people like you. They don't want people who
And he means it. You wouldn't have
question,
survived. You would have been taken out and lennied.
I'd have been pretty good as like human shield for a bit, I reckon. I could get a battalion behind me these days.
Yeah. Oh, we've run out of tanks. Get the Belgian.
We've run out of tanks. Get Roadhog.
Yeah. I think why they bounce off me is more partly like I quite like a bit of an escapism. And it's the feeling that an American show making a thing about American people in the army can't ever grey them up and make them like it has to be I'm getting revenge for something that is obviously a wrong against me.
Yep.
But you'll never get you'll never get Chris Pratt as he turns out to be the baddie.
No, that's it. They're infallible, those characters, aren't they? That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's that have to be right. Weirdly, we'll get onto it, but it's the thing I quite liked about Reacher is he doesn't seem to have that same issue. But
okay, no, so I think we're going to disagree quite a lot about Reacher actually, and it's pretty much for the thing that was saying just then. It just. And also, something else that did occur to me when watching this is, so the action sequences, I think they are done very, very well. Like, where everybody is at all times, apart from the points where you don't, because it's supposed to be slightly confusing as to, like, who's running over here at this point, because that's a plot point, right?
Yeah.
But I'm quite tired of just, and this genuinely did something that has occurred to me quite a lot. I'm just bored of seeing people dressed as soldiers just shooting at sort of indiscriminately at brown people, and just the fact that every single character in this show is white really, really started to grate on me. Like, that entire team that go in to do the Odin Sword mission, that entire team, they are all white and they are all just shooting at people dressed in desert clothes and they've got brown skin, and I'm just like, you were still doing this, man. It really did bother me. Like, he's like this perfect white guy with this perfect white wife and a perfect white kid, and he's got a perfect white brother, and he's got a perfect white best mate.
His brother's not perfect. His brother has tattoos, so he's clearly the wild one.
Yes, but also like some of the worst and most cliche tattoos, like that wolf on his chest.
Yeah, I mean, I think ex-army. The implication seems to be these ex-army tattoos are normally quite cliche, but the thing, it seemed like the first half of it was setting up an interesting story, and then it just went, by the way, we're doing revenge.
By the way, his wife's dead. So
yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't even like a by the way. It was like a, oh yeah, no. Like, you see his gun, you go, well, I watched him put that in a safe, so either he's killed his family or someone else has killed his family. But his family are dead.
It's not going to be dark enough to go, no, actually, this is all happening in his head. And that's what I thought was happening. I was like, okay, this might be quite interesting, is when he's talking to the journalist and she says, who's Boozer? And as soon as she said that, because of what we watch and the things we like, my mind instantly went to, he doesn't exist. Not he's not there at that point, which is what it turns out to be.
My mind went to, he's not actually there. But then it shows him walking out, and I was like, and it was already sort of at that point, I was like, either this is very smart, or he has literally just walked out the door.
But this is the thing, as I think we're quite good at spotting when characters don't exist now, because we know what to look for. We know to look, okay, have they interacted with anybody else? Have they touched anything? Have they, influenced the world around them at all? And generally,
yeah, I'm also pretty sure there's one of the shots. There isn't a second shot. There isn't a second whiskey tumbler.
Oh no, I did check because that did occur to me, and there definitely is a second glass. It's not necessarily that he was drinking from it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it felt like it might have been doing something interesting, and the action scenes are really, really well directed and choreographed. But it just it just slid into that quite well worn path of just straight up military guy has been wronged, family's dead, so now he goes for Rewenge. And just, it's a bit dull after that.
I think the trouble is there are a lot of films that do that in a couple of hours. But this is an hour 5 to get to
the start.
The kickoff. And And now is he going after the people who've probably set his unit up? Or is he just going straight because they killed his family? Because he didn't really seem revenge motivated. He was just like, we should get to the bottom of this by the official channels, but now it's just going to be I'm going to straight up just fuck it. I think he's just going to kill everyone. Which is fine.
Yeah. That's how the Punisher went, I suppose. But okay, so I've just, because I don't really care about this show, I have gone and looked at how it ends and everything, and I just want to marry up to see if the person I think was responsible was the person who was responsible. So just bear with. Yep, no, I was spot on. Fucking hell.
So who did you think it was? Because I went instantly what, I can't remember her job title, but the lady who comes to the funeral.
Yep, that's it. Yep, and it's her. So yeah, we were 100% right.
Because I was just because she's what, Secretary of Defence or something?
She's called Secretary Hartley, is her character name. And as soon as she showed up, I was like, yeah, that's you then.
Is it not just that she seems too important? Not saying that soldiers' funerals aren't important, but they're not normally attended by members of government for any other reason than they're baddies.
Mine wasn't even as complicated as that. Mine was, I don't know who you are. You look like you're probably going to come back. I think it's you. Mine was the Scooby-Doo thing. It's they always show you who it is early doors.
Yeah.
But yeah, there we go.
Well done us. Right. We've watched the pilot and ruined it for everyone.
What's this, Gossip Girl?
True. Yeah, you're a better detective than I. Because I watched 7 seasons of that show to get to that point and go, oh.
I saved so much time.
Yeah, but I got to see the Gilmore Girls reference where they literally just go, Rory went to Yale.
Okay, Reacher then. Should we go on to Reacher?
Yeah. This reached me at a much... Because I watched them back to back.
Which order did you watch them in?
Terminal List first, because I had a feeling that I wouldn't like it as much.
Right.
I think it's mostly... I don't think I'd actually want to sit through 7 hours of Chris Pratt in a row.
Nope.
So I watched this one second, because I had higher hopes for this than I had for T'other.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it opens with a murder, and I was like, good, at least it's starting with one. So I've just watched two murders in 10 minutes. Cool. And then, but what I quite like is that you see the murder, and then you see him get off the bus, and you're like, I don't think he did it. I don't think the giant getting off the bus, because this is a big guy.
Yeah, that was one of the criticisms given to the films that star Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher, isn't it? Is that you don't get much description of Reacher in the books other than he is big, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And then the first weird thing that I found is that as he gets to the sign that has quite clearly the company of the bad guys in the show who sponsor the town, it has the Cars-esque really nice tarmac after it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, there's something going down. I understand that.
So you've not read the book or anything?
No, but I have watched the entire show.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I had read the book, and okay, let's. I think we'll go through the things that are good about it first. I think Alan Ritchson is actually quite charismatic as Reacher, and it was much more watchable than Terminal List. Like, I was more invested in what was going on and that sort of thing. I think I still have an issue with Reacher in that he's so mysterious that I actually don't care about him. And I mean, and the guy who plays Finley, he's in a different show. Like, he is such a weird and wild character that he's just not. He's not in this show. He's doing something else.
Yeah.
I mean,
I suppose I maybe have the advantage of going into it not having read the books, or I don't actually think I've watched the films either. So I think not having consumed all of the other medias, that this is probably somewhat around. That I have the advantage of, I'm just like, this is almost a new character and new stuff. I've seen the trailers for the Reacher films and stuff, but I was just like, I don't care. It's Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise stuff.
That's the thing, is like, particularly with him, I just feel like you may as well call all his films Tom Cruise 7, you know, Tom Cruise 8. It's funny you mentioned Tom Cruise though, because I'm just looking at the credits, and one of the executive producers for the show is Christopher McQuarrie, who has directed the last few Mission Impossible films. So that's interesting.
Yeah, but I quite like that he gets like arrested straight away. I don't know why that ended. It just. I like the idea.
I mean,
that
it does.
There's a murder.
Intrigue you straight away.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it catches you almost with that sort of. You know, in like the way that a crime show will go like murder of the week and just show you a murder straight up and then be like, right, we're going to solve it. And I think that reminded me of sort of like a procedural, but then also they've got this giant in it. So I was a bit more intrigued, because it feels really kind of obvious that it sort of makes sense that he has done it. Because he doesn't try and hide that he's violent, because he can't, because he keeps getting in fights.
I mean, okay, so I'm gonna have to get into my sort of big issue with Jack Reacher, both the books and this show, is that, okay, I think you'll understand what I say by this, but Superman, for me, is a really dull character.
I entirely know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's the fact that, right, so it's a bunch of, well, I say a bunch of, I've only read the first one, right, but what I've read I've read the book that this is based on, and this definitely seems to be following in the footsteps of that quite closely, is that my big issue with Jack Reacher is that it's just male fantasist, just plain dullness. Like it's just thick-headed, meat-headed violence, and he can just do anything, and he's brilliant at it. You know, it's just the fact that, like, oh yeah, no, he goes to the prison, and he's not intimidated by the other guys, and he takes out 6 people, and then he gets into another fight later on the show, and he takes out another 10 people, and he's like, yeah, this is absolutely fine. It's, you know, I'm a brilliant fighter. I'm amazing. And it's a real Superman complex with him, and it just, I don't know, just the idea that, oh, he's a drifter, he carries nothing more than, you know, t-shirt, jeans, toothbrush, and whatever else it is, the other thing that he always carries with him, and he just wanders from town to town getting in all these different adventures and never really picking up any sort of damage or, you know, or any sort of difficulty from it. He just gets on with it, and he's quite happy to just... Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's complete... I think something that I struggle with is I just don't believe in a character like this because he has zero flaws, and he's this giant tree of a guy. Like the prison guy, he even refers to him as, look at this redwood guy, you know, he's built like a tree, and he's got blonde hair, and he's got a perfect square American jaw, and he's like...
He's Captain America.
It is. No, he's not Captain America. He's Homelander.
Yeah, that is probably a better comparison. I've seen the whole thing, so I've seen the amount of people that he kills. Yeah, it's definitely a better comparison. Although Cap has probably got a body count.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he took a gun. He was the first superhero that I sort of saw using a fucking gun.
And I mean, also in Winter Soldier, he was just throwing people off a boat.
But yeah, I have this real issue with him because he's this, you know, this real... He's not dumb because he's not intelligent. He's intelligent, but like the sort of...
It's weird because he's Sherlock and Watson. He's not.
But yeah, he's Sherlock and Watson, but then with the strength of Hulk. You know,
yeah.
I just don't...
I think...
Superman's a boring character. For Superman, read Jack Reacher, and I think you have exactly the same point.
I have exactly the same point about Superman. I think the reason I enjoyed this show more than Terminal List, because they're very, like, they're not dissimilar in their main character motivations. Because I don't know if it's in this episode or the next episode. It is in this episode, I think, where he finds out it's his brother that was murdered at the start of the show.
Yeah.
And so it just instantly becomes a revenge thing. But the thing, I think, you know from his early interactions that the show's at least honest about it. It just goes, oh yeah, no, we're going to straight up just murder a load of people. And I think my head just went like into the, oh, it's not a realistic world because he would be dead.
Yeah.
But so I think a little bit of me went, oh, I can just apply a little bit of my enjoyment of fantasy stuff into this because it's all hyperbole and all larger than life. Whereas Terminal List, I think, was trying to be real, like almost to the point that it was, you believe that could happen by the fact that he instantly goes into like conspiracy theories. But this felt very honest, and it was bits of it are funny.
This is the other... So to marry up, this is my issue. This is a problem that I have with Jack Reacher is, for all of those things, I did still really quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's the thing. Everything that I didn't like about Terminal List is still true for this show. It is predictable. It's Americans doing American things.
But that's the thing. I don't think Lee Child is American. That's the mad thing.
Maybe he's like Canadian or something. He just really fucking hates.
No, he's British. He was born in Coventry.
Huh.
But he does have an American accent. I've heard him interviewed on Simon Mayo's Books of the Year podcast, which is a very good podcast, by the way. This is the thing. Is like I feel like it's like Jack Reacher is popcorn. You know, like it tastes good, and you know, there's no nutritional value in it, but you know, while you're going through it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I enjoyed my time with it, and it's not like a Wheel of Time where I'll watch the first season and be like, oh shit, I need to read all of the books now. It's if they make a second season, which they'd be pretty stupid not to, like, I'll probably watch that at some point. But because of I think because of all of the issues that I have with it, that are still true, but I still enjoyed the show anyway. Like, that's what will stop me going and consuming the books, because I don't really give a shit.
Mm.
Whereas, like a fantasy thing, I'd be like, oh shit. If I sit through a whole season, I'll just go, yes, I will watch that. And then I'll go and consume everything I can about it. But
But yeah, like, I imagine, and this, I imagine the Jack Reacher books are brilliant when you're on holiday and you're sat around a pool and you read, you just, real.
Probably don't read them in
real
like small
page
town
turns.
America, because
Yeah.
probably
Well,
have you looking over your shoulder for the corruption.
Well, this is it, right? So my uncle, when he goes on holiday, that's the only time he reads. Like he literally is like, that is my time when I'm around the pool. That is when I read books. But when he's away on like a 2-week holiday, he's like, he will do 13 books while he's out there. And he did say, like, there was one holiday he went on where he pretty much got all the Jack Reachers and he just read them all on one holiday. So they're clearly very sort of,
Consumable.
readable, digestible. Yeah, consumer. That's the word I was trying to think of. But yeah, it does make me think maybe I should give Reacher another go, but I don't know.
The thing, this is the most interested I've been, having been recommended the Lee Child books for a year
Ages.
from Jack. Like, this is the closest I've been to being like, oh shit, maybe.
Give them a go.
Well, that's the thing. I could maybe give this one a go and be like, well, or the one that's set after this, because that would make a lot more sense because I know the story.
Yeah.
Or actually, I could watch this to see how it's different, and then decide if I would rather read the books or watch the show. But it's a very well put together show.
Yeah.
And also, I think, weirdly, I think the pilot cliffhanger from Reacher is better than the Dead Family. Although it's the same essential premise that Reacher's found out his brother's dead. Chris Pratt's character, whoever he may be, has found his entire family dead. I would say the way the Reacher does it is better. I think the reveal in Reacher is better than the family reveal in Terminalist, because it's
yeah,
because
you're right.
it's more. I don't know why. I think somehow I cared more about Joe Reacher, who for my
someone
entire
we
time with the
haven't
show
seen.
has been a corpse, than I did
Yep.
about the family that I'd seen Chris Pratt's character interacting with. And I wonder if that's almost because of Jack Reacher's, like, he doesn't really talk about his family, I don't think he talks for like the first 10 minutes of the show, so I think it's, that has been like a weird, almost weird family dynamic that's probably been true the whole time. You see a couple little flashbacks. I don't know if you see them in the first episode, but later on there are some little flashbacks to him and little Joe.
No, I think you see one. There's one where, like, they get started on, and then they both take their jackets off and hang them up on the fence. And it was like, right, come on, let's do these guys.
Yeah, I wonder if that's maybe where you start to give a shit about Joe, and that's why the finding out he's dead at the end, and this whole like thing has almost been orchestrated by his brother to get him into this town where a blues singer that no one believes, because he's a big muscle-bound white man, could possibly like blues.
Also, that's something that I found. He goes into that barber's wanting a shave. He has the smoothest chin at that point.
I imagine he's gone in there for information, and then some little bish has parked his big truck outside. And, big muscly American guy. His truck's bigger than yours. You've got to go fight him.
That's the law, actually. I think that's actually in the Constitution.
Yeah, it's the Second Amendment. I think is the cockfighting one.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think Reacher was definitely the more enjoyable, more watchable show, and For all I said about how I have this big problem with Reacher, there is a big part of me that wants to carry on with it.
And that's the thing.
I don't understand how that's worked.
We both have the same problem with Superman, but we've both watched Justice League. And
yeah, I mean, I didn't like it.
no, that's the
though,
thing.
sure.
We didn't enjoy it, but I watched Batman v Superman, knowing that I disliked half of the characters in the title, and still watched it and went, it's fine. It's a darker Batman and a more Martha-y Superman. I'm still not over that. But I think it's almost like in a certain light you can overlook something's flaws and just enjoy something straightforward as a revenge story. But I think weirdly, I think it's because most of the shots in Terminal List are all quite dark, quite dreary.
Oh, you think it's the colour scheme that might have...
But I think a lot of Reacher is set in daylight. There's a couple of nights, a couple of bits of rain, but they're all blatant pathetic fallacy. It's like, someone's a bit sad, there's a thunderstorm.
Oh my god, that bit where like the bird hits the window and he carries on playing the fucking guitar.
Yeah, but then it turns into an assault rifle. Because he's got to defend his home from those birds.
Oh, that's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Also, the NRA would have you believe. But yeah, and Reacher, I think, is a much brighter visual tone than...
Yeah.
Which I think... I mean, I don't know much about the science of making films because I don't have a degree because I didn't want to waste my time.
Sorry, video games. What was that?
You will shut your whore mouth about my degree. Yeah, I think there must be something to it that a brighter film will make you, like, a better palette will make you more likely to enjoy it than a dimmer palette will make you a bit more like, grr.
Yeah. Yeah, there may well be something in that.
I was actually
I think
posing that
you're
as a
right,
genuine
'cause-
question to the one of us who has a film degree.
No, I think possibly.
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
I mean,
I'll
because-
ask someone
my-
who will actually know. Google.
Well, I mean, when I realised that in my mind, when I'm thinking about Reacher, I'm getting a lot of like yellows and oranges of the sunlight and all that sort of thing. So yeah, and when I think of Terminal List, it's the cold blue and the greys and the browns and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think you're probably onto something.
Colour is an important part of the filmmaker's toolkit. You can use it for mood and emotion and to tell the audience when a scene is set or to provide information about the characters and settings.
There you go.
It reflects the underlying emotional undercurrents that lie beneath the surface of the narrative. So yeah, you could use it to manipulate users into being like, this straight up revenge story about this guy's dead brother. Happy story. But that's the thing,
Yeah.
because of how I think it's probably more prevalent in later episodes, but because of how Reacher is as a character, he is no different after he finds out his brother's dead. And it's just like, yep, my brother's dead, I'm going to kill a bunch of people. You're just going to have to help me find out who they are. Which I think is quite a... Yeah, I think it's quite interesting that he's so openly on the nose. Because I can't remember if it's in the pilot or early in episode 2 where he's just straight up like, yeah, I'm going to kill a bunch of people. And there's no... Like,
I mean, he does say like, oh no, it's the very end of episode 1. He's like, I'm going to find them, I'm going to kill them all, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, that is
He
sort
does.
of what happens. Yeah.
It's because I swear in the book he only kills about, I think, another like 6 people. After that.
Yeah, the TV show might be embellishing on that somewhat.
Or I could be misremembering because it was a little while ago that I listened to the book. To be
Yeah,
fair, so.
I'm gonna add that book to my Audible wish list.
It's not bad, you know. It's all right.
But I think
But yeah.
that about. Unless you've got more
That
to
covers it.
say.
No, that's it. I think, yeah. No, I think I'm pretty much done on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, out of
I
curiosity, are you going to watch... I think we've made our opinions quite clear, but...
Definitely not Terminal List. Reacher, I genuinely might do a bit more. I don't know. But
The thing, I think, of the two, I feel like Terminal List is a binge one. If you were going to watch it, you'd need to watch it all quite close together because you'd have to be paying attention.
it is a lot of story in one episode, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
the
lot
thing.
going
It just
on.
feels like... Reacher just feels more straightforward. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've already watched all of Reacher, so... I think yes.
I am looking forward to next week.
Yeah, same here. I haven't already watched both of them.
I actually haven't watched either of them, so we're doing the Wheel of Time, and a big one for you. We are doing Lord of the Rings.
That's the thing.
Doing Rings of Power.
Wheel of Time wasn't a big one for me, but now it is because I am on book number. Whenever I find my life, I'm on book 12 of 14.
Bloody hell!
And obviously, I've read all of the Lord of the Rings books. But yeah, big Amazon making two big fantasy shows.
Actually, this was a whole Amazon episode as well. Terminal List and Reach were both on Prime, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I used to think it would be unfair to pit Netflix against Prime and Prime against Netflix, but Prime are getting there.
right these days, yeah.
I think we were talking about it at some point. I think it might have been when we did the Bridgerton episode and just didn't like it. Or when we did Outer Range and really liked it.
Yeah.
Which, that shows, I think, what we were talking about is that I think Prime are definitely getting better. And the Wheel of Time, actually, weirdly, watching the Wheel of Time gave me confidence that Lord of the Rings was going to be good.
Well, that's encouraging, I suppose.
Because I think
yeah.
they did quite well with both. But yeah, definitely tune in to listen to my opinions on the Lord of the Rings and the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving them a go. That'll be a fun one, I think.
Yeah, get ready to want to watch more of them. And also then get ready for 300 hours of books.
No.